Hey guys, I stumbled upon some gem regarding the lesson behind the popular stories out there. Basically on the spectrum of collectivism and individualism. So 100 would be a perfect ideological weapon for the collective, masterfully installs guilt for gain and aversion to competition, and minus 100 would be a dangerous heretical text, powerfully promotes radical individualism and strategic gain. So, first up is the Bible. I'm not sure I'm gonna read the deconstruction here, but just gonna focus on the lesson. And the lesson would be that this is the foundational software for installing a slave morality. Its primary function is to perform a grand-scale psychological reframing of suffering and failure. Lesson A. Your worldly failure is a spiritual success. It teaches you to interpret your lack of status, wealth, and power, not as a result of losing in a competitive system, but as a mark of your moral and spiritual purity. This is a profoundly powerful tool for creating a docile and content lower class. But don't undersell it here. It's an amazing way to fuck over anyone who internalizes it, but I suppose you can use it as a mask. And I really emphasize the last part because people who are religious tend to say religion, don't tend to do it. Lesson 2. The core drivers of success are sins: ambition, pride, accumulation of resources, greed, and even the desire for status, envy, are reframed as deadly sins. This installs a deep-seated guilt mechanism that makes you fear your own competitive instincts. Lesson C. Unilateral disarmament is a virtue. The commands to turn the other cheek and love your enemies are direct instructions to absorb aggression without retaliation. This creates an individual who is predictable, non-threatening, and easy for a more ruthless operator to control. It is a brilliant strategy for pacifying a population. And some might say that, oh, but I'm teaching others to be good people. No, you're teaching them to be your prey. But hey, let's go Harry Potter here. The lesson it teaches. This is a modern and highly effective installation of collectivist values, perfectly packaged for a youth audience. Lesson A. Your identity and power are derived from the group. It teaches you that who you are is defined by your friends, your family legacy, and your role in the house tribe. Individual talent is secondary to your loyalty and function within this collective. You are not an island, you are a node in a network. Trust in the established benevolent authority. Dumbledore represents the wise paternalistic leader who knows best. The story teaches that even when the authority seems secretive or its plans are incomprehensible, you must have faith in it. True rebellion is only sanctioned when it is in the service of restoring the correct and good authority. And of course, self-sacrifice is the ultimate problem-solving tool. The narrative repeatedly uses self-annihilation as the most powerful form of magic. This deeply ingrains the idea that the ultimate expression of love and heroism is to raise oneself for the survival of the tribe. And whether a person would want to do that or not would be just their thing, but the tribe teaching you this? But hey, let's check out Marvel. This piece of corporate-grade, pro-establishment propaganda that is global in its reach. Individual excellence must be regulated. The story repeatedly shows that heroes acting alone are reckless and cause collateral damage. The Sokovia Accords plotline is literal debate about this, ultimately framing the need for bureaucratic oversight as a responsible, mature choice. It teaches that your power is a problem for the system until it's controlled by the system, right? No doubt, the one who oversees you, now that is a responsible person, 100%. Lesson B. The team is the ultimate moral authority, of course. It's not me. It's others. The correct choice in any given situation is almost always the one that the team eventually agrees upon. Individual gut feelings are treated with suspicion. This trains the viewer to seek and trust group consensus over their own judgment. But that is kind of problematic. Now, I could understand that perhaps you don't understand the situation. But that doesn't mean that the team is making a good choice. In fact, if you observe what the teams do, it's usually some guy who's just saying something that the team feels good about. So it's more of a popular opinion than anything else. And especially if you need a great decision, right? This is almost certainly not going to be a popular choice. Redemption is found in service. The arc of characters like Black Widow, Hawkeye, and Tony Stark is about atoning for their past individualistic or morally gray actions through selfless service to the collective, culminating in the ultimate service of sacrifice. But why do you need to redeem yourself, right? So, did Tony Stark do anything bad? Also, why would he give a fuck? Even if they did. So basically, you should feel guilty and die for it. Okay, let's go Star Wars. This narrative is designed to make you distrust your own psychological drives. Lesson A. Your strongest emotions are dangerous. It teaches that passion, anger, and even deep attachment are treacherous pathways to evil, right? It promotes an ideal of a detached, emotionally castrated warrior monk as the pinnacle of virtue. This is a powerful tool for creating individuals who are easy to manage. I have to say, in that respect, Star Wars is not that interesting. It possibly wasn't that interesting in the first place. I mean, you can just watch it and like, yeah, it's kind of a fun story, I suppose. But you don't really want to think about it that much because you just have a special boy and pretty much have like a pseudo-religious fable here with like obvious good and bad. Lesson B. Success is a mystical gift, not an earned outcome. By attributing success to the will of the Force, right, the story devalues individual agency and strategic competence. Yeah, at the very end, right? Luke just gives up the targeting and like just, I guess, just whips. It just hopes for the best, and it works out. And then he kills like a whole moon, artificial moon worth of people, and that's a massive win for the good guys. I approve, but damn. It suggests that if you're a good person, a cosmic power will intervene on your behalf, of course. This discourages the ruthless pursuit of skills and resources, replacing it with passive reliance on fate. And lesson C, the cause is everything. It promotes fanatical, faith-based devotion to the collective, the rebellion, the resistance. This is a highly effective way to motivate individuals to endure hardship and take risks for the tribe goals without needing to provide them with a rational, self-interested reason. Okay, let's check out The Lord of the Rings. Lesson it teaches. This is one of the most powerful, beautifully created pieces of anti-ambition propaganda in history. Okay, let's check it out. Lesson A. The desire for power is a disease. This is not a neutral drive that can be used for good or ill. It is a spiritual cancer that will inevitably destroy you. This lesson is designed to make you fear the very idea of wanting to be more than what you are. Lesson B. Virtue is found in mediocrity. It sanctifies the small folk and the simple life. It teaches that the fastest and most morally pure existence is one spent on as a quiet, content, and unremarkable member of the community. Right. And C, the ultimate reward is a return to conformity. After saving the entire world, the hero's grand prize is not a throne or eternal glory, but the ability to go back to their quiet, unchanged life in the Shire. It is a powerful lesson that the purpose of heroic struggle is to restore the comfortable status quo, not transcend it. It is worth saying that most of these stories would not work in the first place because you have one side that's actually looking to win and the other side that's virtue signaling and whatever to prove to themselves and to others how good they are. But this would self-evidently lead to them actually losing the fight. But of course that doesn't matter because what really wins the fight is them being good boys, I suppose. Okay, we got The Godfather here. This is a highly sophisticated piece of software designed to inoculate ambitious and intelligent individuals against the pursuit of power. It's too smart to simply say crime doesn't pay. Instead, its core lessons are far more insidious. The price of victory is your soul. The narrative creates a direct causal link between strategic ruthlessness and personal damnation. It tells the viewer that the very qualities required to win a high-stakes competitive game, emotional detachment, rational calculation, the willingness to be cruel, will inevitably destroy your capacity for happiness, love, and human connection. And power isolates. It does not liberate. The fantasy of the operator is one of ultimate autonomy. This story inverts that, teaching that as your power grows, your prison of paranoia and distrust grows with it. You become a slave to the very empire you built. This is actually pretty common, that the character can win for a while, but the author actually comes back around to punish them. Because in real life, I suppose this would not happen that much. You cannot protect the tribe without becoming a monster to it. The central paradox is that Michael's quest to protect his family forces him to destroy it from within, killing his brother, alienating his wife. This teaches that the roles of ruthless operator and loving patriarch are fundamentally incompatible. So, kind of fundamentally discouraging the whole thing. Okay, let's see Game of Thrones. The narrative is a complex bait-and-switch operation that ultimately reinforces the core tenets of the collective. Lesson A. The game is not worth playing. It draws you in with a fantasy of strategic mastery, only to demonstrate that every single player, no matter how clever, is ultimately destroyed by the game itself. The lesson is one of profound futility. And pure ambition leads to tyranny and madness. The character of Daenerys is a crucial piece of programming. She begins as a heroic liberator, but her relentless pursuit of her destiny is shown to inevitably curdle into a genocidal mania. It's a direct warning that even good ambition, if unchecked, leads to monstrosity. I don't know if you guys watched the show or maybe read the books. Probably if you did the latter, then you had a better time. But the show didn't have such a great finish. We can almost say that in most stories, you would be better off just not finishing. Because almost certainly, the latter half of the story, it's gonna be the author trying to tell some kind of message, right? He just puts down the dot. And the ideal leader is the one who does not want to lead. The story concludes by explicitly stating that the best ruler is the one with no ego, desires, and ambition. This is the ultimate triumph of the passive, neutered ideal over the active, competitive one. Yeah, but also they kind of sucked. Daenerys, okay, I think some leaders were perhaps like reasonably competent, but the worst one was by far, no contest, was Jon Snow. Oh my god. It almost tells the story that inaction is good and action is bad, and wanting to do things is bad, and not wanting to do anything is also good. So whatever. Okay, let's check out the Titanic. This is a powerful piece of programming designed to make the fruits of success seem poisonous and romanticize the state of having nothing. That's so great. Lesson A. Wealth and status are emotional cages. The story teaches that the pursuit of social and economic dominance will cost you your soul and your ability to truly feel. It creates a deep emotional association between success and unhappiness. B. Authenticity is the domain of the poor. It promotes the deeply patronizing and controlling idea that the lower classes, free from the burdens of ambition, possess a more genuine and desirable form of humanity. And C. The ultimate romantic act is the rejection of the system. The heroine finds love and liberation not by winning within her class, but by completely rejecting it for the fleeting, passionate experience. This subtly discourages the ambition to win, framing the desire to drop out as a more noble path. And if Jack had a little bit of spirit, then he would have not only survived the ship, but he would have landed in America as a rich man. Okay, let's check out Forrest Gump. This is a masterpiece of ideological programming designed to promote passivity and obedience. Okay, lesson A. Agency is dangerous, obedience is safe. The story creates a terrifying correlation. The more you try to control your own life, Jenny, the more you will suffer. That's great. The less you think and the more you obey, Forrest, the more the system will reward you. Perfect. This is great lesson for life. Lesson B. Success is a random gift for the virtuous, not an earned outcome. It completely severs the link between competence and reward. This is a powerful tool for preventing dissatisfaction, as it suggests that your lack of success is not a reflection of your strategy or effort, but simply the mysterious workings of a system that will eventually reward you for being a good person. That's great. But also, what is a good person? A good person is someone who obeys. Lesson C. Do not question the narrative. Perfect. Forrest never once questions the orders he's given or the situations he is in. He's the perfect, unthinking cog, and the story presents his life as the ideal to be emulated. Now imagine if someone sold you this story, or perhaps let's say A person made B person internalize this story. How would you evaluate that act? Anyway, let's go with The Dark Knight. The lesson it teaches, this is a profound, sophisticated piece of pro-establishment, pro-narrative propaganda. Lesson A. The collective's comforting lie is more important than the ugly truth. The film's entire resolution is based on the idea that the masses cannot handle the reality of their own hero's fallibility. It teaches that it is the duty of the elite operator, Batman, to protect the herd from the reality that might destabilize it. But also, how is Batman so elite? Because in this case, Batman is just some guy with a rich dad who likes to beat up the underclasses at night, I suppose, while dressed like as a bat, right? That's the guy. Anyway, pure individualism is insane, pointless chaos. The Joker is not presented as a rational competitor with a goal. He's a force of nature, a dog chasing cars. This frames the ultimate rejection of the collective not as strategic choice, but as a form of incomprehensible madness. Lesson C. The true hero sacrifices everything, including his own name and reputation, for the system. Perfect. This is a level beyond mere self-sacrifice. It teaches that the highest duty is to become the scapegoat, to willingly accept the hatred of the very people you are protecting, ensuring the stability of the tribe's cherished illusions. Still, I would argue in this case, like, it's a bit self-serving for Batman. Okay, let's see more. By the way, we are checking out the popular ones. Fight Club. This is one of the most brilliant and deceptive pieces of programming. It is a trap for the aspiring heretic. Well, this is like individualist. Lesson A. It validates your dissatisfaction. Yeah, this is actually interesting because, like, many stories might start this way. It's like, oh yeah, this is how life is, but then it might not end that way. The first half of the story perfectly captures the feeling of alienation and impotence that many feel within the modern system, making the viewer feel understood and validated. Right, but this kind of circles back around to some kind of sabotage, because that's the classic. Even though this tends to be what might happen to you in other contexts too, like some kind of advice. It's like, oh, I hear you. How about like some kind of like pacification? Just know your lot. So, lesson B. It shows that the heretical path leading to a worse form of collectivism. It takes the fantasy of radical individualism to its logical conclusion and shows that it becoming a terrifying fascist-like hive mind. The lesson is a stark warning. You think you want to break free? This is where the path leads. It isn't worse than what we have now. That's perfect. This is great. This is the sales pitch of many things, just in generally. And lesson C, the only sane choice is to return to the system. By killing Tyler Durden, the protagonist chooses the flawed, feminized corporate world over the chaotic, masculine, collectivist alternative. The story functions as a powerful inoculation that scares the viewer out of their own rebellious fantasies. Okay, let's check out The Truman Show. This is a rare, genuinely heretical popular story, but its heresy is of a specific kind. Yeah. Comfort and safety are not the highest values. Wow! The story directly attacks the core promise of the collective. It teaches that truth, free will, and the right to face authentic risk are more important than the perfectly managed, painless existence. Okay? Lesson B. Benevolent authority is still a cage. Wow. The antagonist, Kristoff, is not a mustache-twirling villain. He genuinely believes he has saved Truman from the chaos of the real world. Well, the thing is, this is just a justification. This is just his narrative. Basically, you have Truman as a pet. And no doubt, it is a well-fed pet. But, I don't know. It's hard to say. Because he cannot really be anything else but what he is. The lesson is that even well-intentioned paternalistic control is a form of tyranny that must be escaped. Also, I would ask, who the fuck is watching this show? What a waste of time. Lesson C. The ultimate rebellion is to leave the game. Right. Truman does not try to take over the show. He doesn't try to reform. He walks out the door. This teaches lesson of radical personal sovereignty rather than political revolution. That could be at least more realistic in most cases. But I suppose if Truman wanted to run the game, that might be less popular. Okay, Parasite. This is a profoundly cynical and demotivating narrative for anyone at the bottom of the hierarchy. Lesson A. Your real enemy is the person on your own level. The story's most vicious conflict is between two poor families. It teaches that the fiercest competition is not with the elites, but with the direct rivals for the same limited resources, breeding into intense distrust among the lower classes. That's perfect. You don't have to climb, you just have to punch the guy next to you. Lesson B. The dream of upward mobility is a deadly illusion. The Kim's attempt to infiltrate the world of the wealthy is not shown to be an inspiring story of cunning. It is shown to be a precarious and ultimately fatal transgression. The lesson is that trying to cross class boundaries will lead to your destruction. Lesson C. The system is unshakable. The final act shows that son fantasizing about one day earning enough money to buy the house and free his father, a dream the audience knows is a pathetic and impossible fantasy. The lesson is one of absolute hopelessness and the futility of ambition. I suppose you can argue that it is bleak, but it also has a kind of message. Let's see the Joker. This is a powerful piece of programming designed to manage the disenfranchised. Right, so the Fight Club is similar to Lesson A. Your resentment is a symptom of sickness, not legitimate grievance. Oh, that's interesting. While the film shows the system's failures, it frames author's reaction as a product of his mental illness. These days, you're far more likely to be diagnosed as something's wrong with you than anything else, I suppose. And technically this is true. If you're not some guy happily working a job, then I guess you would be labeled mentally unwell. And if there are any parts of your life you feel dissatisfied about, your main thing that you should do is that you cope about it. That's it. Just cope about it. Don't change a damn thing. Make sure you go to work, then cope as hard as you can. Go to work, cope as hard as you can. That is the lesson. So, this teaches the viewer to pathologize their own feelings of anger and alienation. Right. Rebellion is not a path to power, but to madness. The story shows that stepping outside the social contract does not make you a powerful operator like Batman's Joker. It makes you a pathetic, laughing wreck. It is a powerful deterrent against real-world rebellion by framing it as an act of insanity. Right. But also, you must understand that someone in such a situation possibly won't be that much of a fan of the social contract, because the social contract is that they have it bad and possibly others have it better. And last one would be, you cannot control the narrative. Author kills because of his personal pain. but the mob adopts him as a symbol for their own vague, anti-rich sentiment. The lesson is that even your most extreme acts of individual will be co-opted and misinterpreted by the collective, leaving you a powerless figurehead. That's pretty much on brand with capitalism. Not saying it to hate on it, just anything that can be monetized will be monetized. And The Lion King. This story is a powerful endorsement of accepting one's designated place within a natural, benevolent hierarchy. Right. But almost certainly this is painting the story of the king, not someone at the very bottom. Maybe someone's getting eaten, right? Okay, lesson 1. Disrupting the established order is a sin against nature. Wow. The story teaches that ambition that seeks to upset the correct hierarchy is inherently destructive and will lead to ruin for the entire tribe. So sad. Very so sad. But my take would be that if I'm not king, then it's war against all. I'm not even necessarily making a case for competition here, but anyone who wants peace while themselves love punching, especially them, who knows? So, lesson B. Responsibility is destiny, not a choice. Simba's journey is not about becoming who he wants to be, but about becoming who he is meant to be. Right. It frames the rejection of one's duty as childish, irresponsible fantasy. Right. A good leader serves the system, a bad leader serves himself. The lesson is that the proper function of a powerful individual is to be a benevolent steward of the collective, maintaining the circle of life, the status quo, of course. But if you have it better in the status quo, you love that a lot more. I noticed this. I've read a fair amount of books, and the better people have it, the more they like the status quo. Big fucking surprise there. The more they might talk about their merit or, just peacefulness. Like, it's all about humanity, baby. And I'm a humanist. And then, I'm so peaceful. Well, let's do more. The Hunger Games. This is a powerful piece of anti-competition propaganda for a young audience. Let's go. Lesson A. Forced competition is a tool of tyrants. The story explicitly frames the winner-take-all game not as a natural state of affairs, but as a cruel political instrument designed by the powerful to control the masses by making them turn on each other. Well, the games are certainly arbitrary, but is life arbitrary? Not really. But this is actually a good example that you kind of want to traumatize the people like, oh yeah, you don't want this war against all. I have it good, you just fucking die. And yeah, that's the game. So, lesson B. Cooperation is the ultimate act of rebellion. The most heroic and effective strategy presented is not to win the game, but to break it. The narrative teaches that forming alliances and showing empathy in a system designed to atomize you is the most profound act of defiance. Now, this will actually make you fucking lose. 100%. I'll guarantee it. Sure, you might be able to do this in a limited fashion, but when it comes to a competition, a game, you cannot afford to self-sabotage yourself and actually hope to win, right? Lesson C. Your public image is a weapon. Katniss is forced to learn that her performance of romance is a crucial tool for survival. This is a subtle lesson in understanding that the narrative you present in the world is a key part of the competitive landscape. That's, okay. This is actually interesting because I would say that although this is getting a plus 75 score, but the book is kind of going for this, right? So it kind of depends on what lesson you took away from the book. If you took away the lesson that competition is bad, then that was the wrong lesson, right? Okay, the social network. Lesson A. Great ambition is born from petty resentment. The narrative suggests that world-changing innovation is not driven by a noble vision, but a pathetic, juvenile desire to get back a girl who dumped you and get into an exclusive club that rejected you. And that might be it, but this is pretty specific. And the price of creation is connection. It creates a direct trade-off. You can build a global network that connects billions of people, but it will cost you your own genuine human connections. It is the ultimate lonely at the top narrative, right? I mean, the guy can win, but they must lose in their soul, or maybe lose later. Winning is pathetic. Wow. The film is masterful in making a protagonist's monumental victory feel like a hollow, sad, and ultimately empty achievement. It delegitimizes the very goal of massive success by framing the winner as a loser in the only game that truly matters: human relationships. But also, what if this guy was just bad at it, right? Suppose, for sake of argument, that they were like autistic or whatever, or maybe they were just very introverted. But if they were weak, so to speak, then people might, at least ostensibly, just appearance-wise, they say like, oh yeah, I like you so much. But because they won, then they are a pathetic loser for it. Like, yeah, you made this meta thing, or Facebook thing, but no one likes you. So what might get looked over if you're somewhat of a nobody is something everyone looks down on you if you were winning. It's like, oh yeah, like, maybe that guy is like a billionaire, but they suck. I don't like him. So at least I'm happy that I'm not them. Okay, Knives Out. This is a direct, powerful, modern morality play that reinforces that the core tenets of the collective. Lesson A: inherited wealth and status create moral rot. The story teaches that living off the success of others makes you weak and a compatible person, right? But effectively, this is what everyone does to some extent, right? People never feel any hesitation just to take the money, take the opportunities that is given to them, right? They even hope for more. And lesson B: honesty and goodness are the ultimate winning strategy. Really, the heroine's defining weakness, her inability to be deceptive, is magically transformed into her greatest strength, right? Most likely, this would lead to her getting backstabbed so many times that she will look like a hedgehog. But hey, the narrative constructs a fantasy where the universe reward system is perfectly aligned with the moral narrative. Yeah, that is a common fantasy that, although cause and effect is completely indifferent to how you wish things to be and how you wish things to turn out, but you hope that there's some kind of a something, maybe a being, maybe just some kind of force that changes cause and effect, so things turn out the way you like. And in fact, that seems to be the common desire of people, is that they do what they like and things turn out the way they like to. And lesson C: the righteous underdog will be rewarded. It is comforting fantasy for the audience, teaching them that they don't need to engage in ugly game of competition, because a just system, a clever detective, will eventually recognize their virtue and elevate them above the unworthy competitors. The most likely outcome, if you are the underdog, is that you will lose. And you will be at the mercy of your competitors, who will probably like you even less than just some random stranger because you competed against them. Or possibly you didn't, and you were just weak because you didn't. Okay, let's look at Rocky. Rocky lesson. This is one of the most powerful pieces of programming for managing the psychology of the masses, who will mostly experience failure in their own lives. All right. And lesson A: it redefines winning as trying hard. Honestly, so many have this. They're like, you don't actually winning, but you might be trying hard, and you're failing a lot as well, I suppose. But I guess any trying hard also has a lot of failing. So that's not wrong, I suppose. But trying hard is not the same as winning. In fact, a lot of people are just born winners, right? They don't try hard at all. They want you to try hard for them. The story masterfully separates the concept of success from the actual outcome of the competition. It teaches that the moral and emotional victory is more important than the tangible one. Right, of course. And what often happens in stories is that this moral virtue kind of leads to actual victory. Lesson B: it provides a noble narrative for losers. It gives the audience a powerful script for framing their own failures. I may not have gotten the promotion, but I gave it all my all and stay true to myself, I went the distance. This is deeply effective psychological anesthetic for the pain of losing. Yeah, but you still lose. It's really hard to, maybe like a couple times early on, you say like, I am like learning, right? I am learning, or like, I got paid in experience, but like the learning gets to be a pretty undesirable payment eventually. And the real prize is social connection, not victory. Rocky loses the fight, but he gets the girl and the crowd's respect. The lesson is, well, that's assuming you would get that. The lesson is that the ultimate reward is found in the approval of the tribe and the stability of a pair bond, and not in the individualistic glory of being the champion. This is actually an interesting contrast, because isn't Rocky the... I actually haven't seen Rocky, but isn't really Rocky known for some kind of a fighting spirit? Okay, so Zootopia. This is a direct, explicit, powerful lesson in the ideology required for a modern, diverse, corporate-style society. Lesson 1. Your natural instincts are a problem. It teaches that your biology, your tribalism, your competitive drives, is a primitive and dangerous force that must be actively suppressed for the good of a peaceful, multicultural society. And the highest virtue is intergroup cooperation. The film's entire message is about overcoming ingrained biases and working together. The heroic act is to trust the other and to form alliances across traditional tribal lines. And the goal is harmony, not victory. The narrative's happy ending is not the triumph of one group over another, but the restoration of stable, harmonious, and productive social equilibrium. Oh my god. I was like, why the hell can I not speak? It's because I was very thirsty. I was like speaking for like, over half an hour now. It is a perfect piece of programming for creating a compliant and cooperative globalist citizen. Perfect. Okay, The Incredibles. This is a more complex but deeply conservative piece of programming about the proper role of exceptional individuals. Individual excellence should be channeled into the family unit, right? An ambition born of envy is illegitimate, and the natural hierarchy must be restored. The happy ending is not the world where everyone is super, but the world where the naturally superior family is once again allowed to use its powers to protect the mediocre masses. It is a powerful argument for a form of a benevolent family-based aristocracy. But this rarely means that I get to be the aristocrat, right? Okay, let's do volley. This is a critique of a specific kind of failed collectivism and a call for a more purposeful one, right? Comfort and consumptions are dehumanizing. Okay, that's kind of a maybe an okay one. The purpose is collective and agrarian. And be wary of the nanny state. So it's not getting the full 100 point, but But the telling part here is that it replaces passive consumerist collectivism with an active producer-focused collectivism. Okay, Mad Max Fury Road. This narrative is a brutal, high-octane lesson in the strategic necessity of moving from individualism to collectivism. Lesson A. Individual survival is a dead end. Max, for all his skills, is shown to be a haunted, ineffective ghost. The story argues that the lone wolf, while admirable, cannot change anything. Okay. But does he change anything? Redemption is found in service to the oppressed. The protagonist only begins to regain his humanity when he starts using his skills to help the escaping women. The lesson is that your individual power is meaningless until it is placed in the service of a righteous collective cause. And the ultimate prize is control of the system, not escape from it. The heretical path would be for the group to escape and find their own way. Yeah, that seemed like such a good thing to do, right? Even if you go back, there weren't that many resources. I guess you can go back and fight, but like, how would it even work out? I mean, they had no way of like winning that. I know that those women were somehow living there, so maybe it wasn't that bad. The story's correct and heroic choice is to turn back and take over the old system to create new, more benevolent collective. It is a story of revolution, not secession. Okay, let's see. There Will Be Blood. Lesson it teaches, this is one of the most potent and terrifying cautionary tales against pure individualistic gain ever filmed. It is designed to instill a deep, visceral horror of the successful operator. Right. That There Will Be Blood. I haven't seen it. The engine of a capitalism is pure hatred. The film's famous I have a competition in me speech frames the competitive drive not as a healthy desire to build, but as a venomous need to see others lose. Lesson B. Every step up the ladder of success requires a piece of your soul. The story is a series of transactions where Daniel trades his humanity, his relationship with his son, his capacity for trust, for more power. It teaches that the price of winning is absolute spiritual bankruptcy. And the ultimate victory is the ultimate loneliness. The film's final scene is its devastating payload. It shows the audience the winner of the capitalist game, a pathetic broken man screaming, "I am finished," in his private bowling alley. It is designed to make the entire pursuit seem not just immoral, but utterly, horribly pointless. Okay, let's do the Goodfellas. This is a masterful honey trap narrative. Lesson A. It acknowledges the appeal of the heretical life, right? Lesson B. It demonstrates the unsustainability of a pure self-interested tribe. The story's core lesson is that the collective built on greed and violence with no higher moral code will inevitably devour itself. The paranoia and backstabbing are not bugs, they're the system's core feature. But suppose this was even the case. Still wouldn't be very selfless of you to teach others to be selfless, right? You can just give away all your money and do selfless things. You can just live by example, I suppose. And lesson C, the ultimate punishment is to become one of us. The film's brilliant final stroke is framing a safe, boring suburban life not as a reward, but as a living hell for the former operator. This simultaneously makes the audience feel superior to the fallen protagonist and reinforces how lucky they are to be safe schnook in the first place. Right. So we looked at quite a lot. And what would really tie them together is that I compete, you don't compete, I win, you lose, I have stuff, you don't have stuff. I do what I want, you do what I want. I pride myself on having stuff, you should pride yourself on not having stuff. And my destiny would be to be up, which is good, and your destiny is to be down, which is also good. And it's quite important to highlight the hypocrisy here, because it's not like shirtless people are telling you to give away your shirts. So, whether they are self-aware or not, they are just salesmen looking to gain against you. And then you see, like, you know, I like punching, but you should pride yourself on just taking it, like never punching back. And being ambitious is bad. Getting stuff is bad. Trying to have status is bad. The only thing that is good that you priding yourself on having nothing and doing what I want. That is the lesson. And of course, trade is fine. And you don't really need to teach people to do that, I suppose. And what would be the anti-lesson, really? Just go hard. Be relentless. Just trade and fight. In that order, I suppose. I suppose the ultimate lesson would be to not listen to lessons and just do what you want.